Question: is it anti-Semitic to thrash the Israeli team so hard that they lose the World Cup qualifiers 5-0? Answer: my assessment is no. But it does depend on who you ask. Norway just beat Israel 5-0, and as with Israel playing in many places around the world these days, they unavoidably come into contact with pro-Palestinian, pro-humanity protesters, starve civilians protesters who go against that kind of thing. In response, the Israeli fans held up banners saying, "Let the ball talk," saying, "Don't get political, let's just focus on the game, let's see who wins." And the ball said 5-0. So now, Norway was where the match was played, and riot police were deployed by the state to use tear gas, and they even arrested people at the pro-Palestine protests that inevitably came about as a result of Israel playing anywhere. I make this post not because I'm a football fan, but to highlight the growing opposition to the Israeli state, even in European capitals like Norway's Oslo, which is what we're talking about here. European capitals, other European cities even, citizen sentiment continues to drop as more and more people, through word of mouth, through their phones, through news outlets, they've caught footage from more and more people's support of the Israeli state drops as time goes on. As time goes on, I can't talk today. As time goes on, and more people realize the extent of what Israel has done in Gaza. Excuse me, well, that was a hiccup of 1,000 suns. As international aid organizations, international media outlets, individuals, as the borders might open up to Gaza over time, it's expected that more and more information will be revealed. You've even got BBC saying that most people in Gaza are heading back to homes that don't exist because they've been flattened. The BBC then sort of dropped their spin as well. It is peppered in, so it's not reliable reporting by my assessment, but that's why I'm here. The spin continues to be present, is what I'm trying to say, but it's very hard to fully cover up what's going on. So you can only partially cover it, even if that's your agenda, to minimize what's happened in Gaza. You can only go so far before you have to show footage of the place, and there's not a standing house in sight. Here in the UK, for example, the BBC, right, as I was discussing, they are not flagged as state-run media because that's only authoritarian governments have that. This is a democracy. I don't know what accent that was, but this is a democracy. We can't have state-run media, right? But the government in the UK collects fees for TV licenses, and that provides at least some portion of the budget for the BBC. So the state's funding the BBC. You think the BBC is not going to be aligned to at least some extent with the state on some things, at least? Anyway, it sounds like state controlled with a few extra steps in there just to confuse and discombobulate the common people. Anyway, this is me spinning, but once I read my own reports, we stop spinning. I was watching a BBC report on the Gaza ceasefire just a day or so ago. They spoke about what happened, what Palestinians in Gaza are going through, as some of them head north to rubble that used to be their broken homes. Then the BBC went to a reporter they have in Tel Aviv, the Israeli cultural capital, you could say, who started with the intro phrase, "Over on this side of the front line," let's see what's happening, over on this side of the front line. This equivalence between Israel and the Palestinian territory of Gaza is shocking. One side has engineered a sustained and intentional campaign of terror, of death, of damaging or destroying hospitals, houses, bakeries, schools, businesses, all legitimate target. Farmland has been razed, has been destroyed, so you can't grow crops. Water and sewage infrastructure destroyed, so that you can't have the basic necessities that are necessary in a city. And reports suggest between 67,000 to, some reports suggest, 500,000 people have lost their lives in Gaza. 67,000 to 500,000. The other side lost roughly 1,200, and reports are still being written on how many of those might have been friendly fire due to Israel's use of the Hannibal Directive potentially being implemented. Look that up. Hannibal Directive is basically saying you can attack your own to prevent them being taken as hostages, because then that's leverage against you. How can the BBC call Tel Aviv a front line? How is Tel Aviv a front line? How many people have lost their lives in Tel Aviv from attacks from Gaza in the last 6 months, in the last 1 year, in the last 1.5 years, in the last 2 years? How many? How is it a front line? Anyway, that's why I hate the spin and push myself to research and then bring you news and analysis, unbiased and without the Western spin. I'm Mahfouz, and I'll see you on the next one. Okay, I've had a think about it. Yeah, Tel Aviv is a front line, fine. My house is a front line as well. This office, this home office, I'm reporting to you from my front line against the spin.